Hi everybody, Mark here from Dingle Cookery School. This week we have got a fabulous recipe for you. It's probably one of the tastiest treats you're ever going to have. Okay, so what it is, we're going to have a chocolate brownie, but it's going to be layered with some salted caramel as well. What's not to like with that? Okay, so what we're going to do first of all, we're going to get the salted caramel out of the way. Okay, what I've already got here is just some melted butter. Okay, melted butter. We're going to take some dark brown sugar to go in there. Okay, I like to have a dark brown sugar. It's going to give it a very, very toffee flavored from that. Okay, we're going to get a little bit of full cream in there as well. Okay, now that's in there, and I'm going to give it a quick stir around, and all we have to do now is bring that up to the boil. Okay, that's going to help dissolve the sugar in there as well. And when that's finished, what we need to do then is we're going to add our salt in a little while. So we're going to put that on a medium heat, bring it up to a simmer, and just once it comes to a boil, then we're pretty much good to go at that stage. That's going to take us about 5 minutes. Okay, for this recipe I probably have a little bit more salted caramel than you need, but at the end you'll be able to put that into a container, keep it in the fridge and put it over your ice cream or put it over whatever else you want, and that'll keep in the fridge for about 2 weeks easily once it's covered. It's beautiful. Put it with your pancakes, put it whatever. Right, now to our brownie. All right, this brownie in particular, it's a nice, very nice brownie, and ideally a brownie shouldn't be too dry. So what we've got here, a few simple ingredients, all right? And the good news as well is it's also gluten-free because we're not using flour here with this. I've got some corn flour. We're going to tip that in there. Some cocoa powder, put that in there. Okay, and we're just going to sift those together. That's our dry ingredients. So just sift that together. That helps to give it a little bit of air, but it also helps with the mixing as well. So, and if there's any lumps, just push them through. There we go. Now I'm just going to mix that. You don't need a mixer for this. I'm just mixing it so it's roughly nice and even. Okay, so what I have been doing, I've melted some dark chocolate there. Look at that, dark chocolate and some butter. Isn't that so cool? Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some caster sugar, and we're going to put that in there. So we're going to put it in there, stir that through, and we're going to start adding our eggs in just a second. All right, so it is very important when I was melting the chocolate and the butter, I put it over a large pot of boiling water, this big bowl. The whole idea of that is so that you melt it nice and gently, and that the bowl itself is not in contact with the water. That's really, really important. All right, so now that I have the sugar mixed in there, now I'm just going to take my eggs. I'm going to put my eggs in one at a time maybe, and I'll just give them a little whisk in there. I'm just going to change over that for a second. Whisk them in. We could, if we wanted, we could use a sort of a hand mixer here. There's no real need because generally for a brownie it's a lot flatter. We're not looking for loads of air in there. Now I'm just going to fire in the next one. One goes in. Just mix that through. You can already smell this. This is amazing. And I'm just keeping an eye on my salted caramel. That's just cooking nicely there. Mix that in, and now I'm just going to put in the last egg. Scrape off all that, get all the goodness in there. There we go. Okay, and mix that in. So you're pretty much nearly there. Like, this is definitely such an easy one, and it's not a time-consuming one either. Now all we need to do is just need to take off this whisk of a fella, and I'm going to start adding in my dried mix. And always, every time we add a dry mix in there, get into the habit that we fold it in. So I've taken some of it, I'll maybe do this one in 2 goes, and just literally round the edges and in. And basically why you're doing this, and why you always want to get into a habit, if dry ingredients are going into a wet mix, it helps to stop knocking the air out of it, but it also helps incorporate all of that. And that's it. It's not a lot of dry ingredients, but again, like what I was saying earlier on, it's gluten-free, so it's really good. So it's a nice one to serve. I'm going to fire in the last little bit there now. Okay. Now that's coming up nicely, the salted caramel. And there we go. And believe it or not, we are almost there for this guy. Round the edges and into the center, large spoon, large bowl. How you know it's incorporated? When you pull it back, you can't see any sort of traces of flour. There's a small bit there. And there we go. There we go. That's it. Now, so I'm going to have a quick look at our salted caramel. So if we just come here for 1 second, and we see that that's come up to a nice boil. All I need to do now is, I'm going to just put in a little bit of vanilla, just a tiny, you only want about a teaspoon vanilla in there. And we're going to add in some salt. The salt that you want to use is a nice sea salt, nice and flaky, not just your table salt. So definitely nice and flaky, and that's going to give it that nice bite. Dump that in there. We can take this off the heat right now. And that's pretty much one version of doing a nice salted caramel. Alright, I'm just going to take it off the heat, leave it there for a second. What you do want to do is, when it cools down slightly, just take a little bit of it and taste it. Oh my god, it's amazing. That just gives you an idea where it is. Does it need more salt? Is it sweet enough? But remember, you do need a nice bit of salt there. Now, we can smell something burning there, but sorry for the moment. Now, what we've got here is, you want a small enough dish or tray for this, okay? Ideally, when you're making a brownie, if you put it on a large tray, they're just going to be too small. So get yourself a nice small one. This one is roughly around 8 inches square, okay, and it's nice and deep, right? Also, what I've done here as well is, I've got some parchment paper, and I've already just sort of given it a quick oil inside. That'll help it to stick, but also give it just a quick brush of oil as well. That's to stop the chocolate and all the lovely filling from sticking in here. Now, what we want to do with this, what changes it from a regular brownie, is we're going to put in somewhat about half the mixture. We're going to take some of our salted caramel, get that in there, put in the rest of the mixture, put another bit on top. We're going to keep back some of the salted caramel, and don't worry, you'll have loads. And when it comes out of the oven, we're going to sneak another little bit in there as well, or on top of it, okay? Now, so I'm just going to get roughly about half it. Just put that in there. Don't be too worried if it's half or a little bit more, a little less. Okay, we'll just take that there for a second. And we're just going to spread that around. Look at that. When this comes out of the oven, this is going to be one of your favorite treats ever. We're going to take some of the salted caramel, okay, and we're just going to pour it just a nice little bit. Look at that. All right. Now we're going to just fire in the rest of my brownie mix. Now, if you want to make this sometime and you don't want to, for some reason, you don't want to make it with salted caramel, you could have just used this mix, and we could have added stuff like, we could have added nuts to it, chopped walnuts in there instead of the caramel. And you could have just mixed that through the mix, not trying to layer it. And you can see there's bits of all that lovely caramel around the side. Now, one little trick I always do here is, when it comes to here, I just use the spoon and just sort of go along like that. That's going to help for the next couple of layers of caramel. And you'll see, look, I've loads of it left, right? We're just going to get another nice bit there. Don't worry, get loads of that. Look, those little divots will start filling up. Now, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to fire that into the oven. It's going into the oven, and remember, there's a lot more sugar in here, there's a lot more butter, there's a lot more things that can burn. I've turned my oven down to 160 degrees Celsius, and that's going to take us about 40 minutes. All right, I'm going to put it in there first. Just put it in there. It is a fan oven, about 160. So when you have more sugar, more butter, always think to turn it down a little bit because it wants to burn. So turn it down and let it take a little bit longer. I'm going to put it in for 40 minutes. What I'm going to do then after 40 minutes, so in your oven, take it out after 40 minutes. It may not be done in your oven. Just put a little cake skewer or a little toothpick inside and see if it comes out. And if it's very, very wet still, put it back in for another few minutes. This is what it's going to look like when it comes out of the oven. This one has cooled, right? So one thing that I would always say is don't take it out of the tin until it has cooled, because it'll fall apart that little bit. So you might notice there's a slice missing. So there it is. There, look at that. Look at the luxury, the richness of that. I'm just going to take a little bit of it. Look at that. And just, that's a good sign. When we see that it's just so moist and wet inside there, and it's full of this salted caramel. So let's have a little taste. Oh my God. That's so amazing. And tomorrow this will taste as nice. It might be a little bit more denser, but there's so much of that salted caramel, the chocolate flavor, everything. So please give it a go. It's an easy one, and we'll have a new one for you again, hopefully next week. All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and take care.